There we go. Okay, so once again, thank you very much for attending today. We're going to talk about lotteries and how lotteries can be used to ultimately generate more fundraising income. We're going to come from different perspectives. So the first perspective is a lottery just from the transactional perspective, then considering things like supporter engagement and supporter participation as well. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen throughout this presentation. Okay, so as I go through the presentation, I'm going to show the tools as one would see on People's Fundraising. So on People's Fundraising, we know that you and your supporters can create fundraising experience using donation pages, in memory, individual and team fundraisers, raffles, events, auctions, lotteries, gift vouchers, and whatnot. But we're going to demonstrate from a branded platform version. Okay, so the only difference between the fully branded platform and People's Fundraising is that the branded platform is in the look and feel, and even in things like URLs and email of the target charity itself. Okay. So before we get into it, one question is, why should we consider lotteries in the first place when going out there and trying to receive fundraising income? Okay, so this all comes down to one primary concern, and that is that of donation fatigue. Okay, so this is something we'll repeat pretty much every session. So what is donation fatigue? So you as a charity, you do amazing things. I mean, charities support the system where the system has inefficiencies. And, the majority of charities, they support their own activity with money from the public. And that could be individuals, community, or corporate networks. Okay. And even though you do amazing things, if you go out to those networks and you ask for donations, your networks will gladly give you money. But if you continually ask for money, your supporter base will either not have the inclination is the important word here, or the means to keep on donating to you. Okay. So then when charities realized this was a thing, then charities said, okay, instead of just continually asking for donations, we'll go out to our individual, community, and corporate networks, and we'll ask them to fundraise for us, connecting to their own networks. So this is a concept of a fundraising page. Somebody does a cake bake or marathon run, they go out to their family and friends networks, and then they get donations, which goes to yourselves, your charities. Great. However, donation fatigue essentially kicks in there as well. So if I do a marathon run and create a fundraising page, send the link out to my family and friends, they're going to donate to my page, which will benefit yourselves. But if I keep on doing marathon runs throughout the year, then my family and friends network probably won't have the means or inclination to keep on donating to me. Again, donation fatigue kicks in. So once charities realise this, charities start looking for other fundraising experiences. Okay, and ultimately charities realise that the supporter base, individual, community, and corporate networks really want to have a relationship with the target charity themselves. So if you just continually ask your supporters for donations, that's not really having a relationship of any form. They want to have more interesting experiences. And this is where things like shops or gift vouchers or raffles or lotteries or auctions come in. They are different ways you can engage your supporter base and touch more of your supporter base to ultimately get more fundraising income. Okay. And the reason why I also say touch more of your supporter base is that, for example, if I'm a supporter and I do a marathon run, not all of your supporter base will want to do things like marathon runs or cake bakes and things like that. So by offering up these other ways of connecting with your supporter base, you're going to find that more of your supporter base actually starts to engage with yourselves. Okay, so Last week, I think we talked about raffles, and so this week we talked about lotteries. Okay. So we do find that some charities are starting to offer lotteries. And what we're going to show today is how you can offer lotteries in what we see as how charities are typically offering lotteries. We think it's a rather transactional way, but how to offer lotteries in that way, but also in the way that is more engaging for supporters also. Okay, right. So let's carry on. So as we go through this presentation, again, we're going to do it from a branded platform. And I'm also going to do it from the perspective of supporter participation. And again, there's a big difference between supporter engagement and supporter participation. Supporter engagement is where you as a charity go to your supporters and say, do you want to make a donation to us, or do you want to enter our raffle, or do you want to enter our lottery, or do you want to buy something from our shop? That is you engaging your supporters. But supporter participation is where you empower your supporters to themselves create things like lotteries and raffles and auctions and shops. And so they participate in your fundraising. They go out to their network, which essentially extends the reach that you can have. So you as a fundraising a set of fundraising teams, you have a direct connection to your individual community and corporate fundraising network. Okay, and that's from the engagement perspective. But from a supporter participation perspective, if you have 100 supporters in that network, each of those supporters potentially has a network of 10. Therefore, if you empower your supporters to participate, your overall fundraising network reach will be far more wide. And therefore, the opportunities for you to generate more income is substantial. Okay, so everything we're doing is from the perspective of supporters setting up their own pages, or rather supporters participating. But also note that you can do exactly the same thing from the supporter engagement perspective, you setting up the pages and going out to your supporter network. Okay, so I'm just going to sign in. Let's choose the correct login. Okay, so this is what a supporter would typically see if they logged into a branded platform. They can do donations in memories, fundraisers, raffles, events, memberships, auctions, etc., and lotteries. So we're going to focus on lotteries today. So let's start from the perspective of a pure setting up a page and purchasing something from the lottery, and then we will extend that into how to extend the network reach, etc. So we're going to create a lottery page. So each page has a name and description. Each page will have its own page-specific URL. On the branded platforms, there will be that of the charities. On People's Fundraising, it will be peoplesfundraising.com. You can display the total generated on the page, the total number of supporters interacting with the page, the QR code. You can make the page public, for example, which means it will appear on search results and walls. You set up the start and end date of the lottery. And then you specify things like the price of a lottery ticket. So we're going to charge it as £5. And also the number of lottery tickets as well. So you can constrain this. Now, the first interesting, other than the ability that you can set up your own lotteries, one of the first interesting things is that you can actually specify lottery numbers as well. So people generally, when they play things like the National Lottery, they're used to, choosing, 10 or 7 numbers with a range within each of those numbers between something like 1 and 27 or something like that. But you and your supporters can therefore be more creative. You can specify essentially any number of numbers that the supporter needs to choose from. So they can choose from, 1 and 10 numbers. So just as an example. And then you specify the number range within that. Okay. So if I chose the number range between 1 and 2, and I were only choosing one number, that means I'm definitely know I'm going to have a 50-50 chance of winning, right? And this is one of the really interesting things about supporter engagement and supporter participation, and coming away from just your traditional ways of running lotteries. Now, one of the things that everyone knows about entering the national lottery is that the chances of winning are virtually zero. However, somebody always wins, right? So people play it because there's such big prize payouts. However, people rarely ever win. Now, when a charity connects with one of these large lotteries as well, you've probably seen them. You can sign up to a charity lottery and somebody can win £50,000 or £100,000. You pretty much have the same mindset there in terms of you are asking your supporters to make a or purchase a lottery ticket. The person who's purchasing generally knows that they have very little chance of winning that lottery. And so, therefore, it's very similar to a donation ask, whereby when you're asking somebody for a donation, they're not really getting anything in return. It's a beautiful thing because people want to do that. But when people want to be engaged in a more interesting way, just asking somebody to enter a high value lottery is the same sort of philosophy. And therefore, although you as an organization can set up those high value lotteries, you can also do more interesting lotteries whereby the people engaging with the lottery have more of a chance of winning. Okay. And this is where you choosing the amount of numbers and the range becomes really interesting. You can really work out odds that people can realistically win. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to provide the ability that people can choose three numbers, and within those numbers between 1 and 5. Okay. Right. So by law, you have to enter promoter and then an email address. And then we create the page. Okay, with our system, you have the ability to assign a campaign. And such, you can assign multiple campaigns to the lottery as well. So you can say, maybe I want 50% to go to the charity of the year and 50% to go to the main charity, or 2020, for example. Or you can just say 100% goes to, the main charity. And then you set up lottery prizes. Now, this is the other interesting thing about lotteries, is that the prizes can be whatever you want them to be. Okay, so typically people think about lotteries as winning, some lump sum. Well, you can do that, but also you can lottery off an item. Okay, so from a charity perspective, if you specifically have physical items, you can use things like auctions, raffles, and lotteries to sell those off. Now, the difference between the auctions, raffles, or lotteries are just in the way that people interact with the platform and the chances of winning. So we know with raffles that somebody is always going to win the prize, be it physical or monetary. Somebody's always going to win the prize as long as somebody at least buys one raffle ticket. With auctions, somebody will always win the prize as long as they bid on the prize and it goes above a reserve price. But with lotteries, you have to win, you have to select the correct numbers in order to win the lottery. And again, the prizes can be monetary or physical. So in this case, we're going to say 50% of page income. I mean, you can word it in some nicer way, for example. And one person's going to win it. You're going to have to match on all three numbers. And it's a percentage win, and it's 50% of the income itself. I assign that to the lottery page. And within a few clicks, I've now got a brand aligned lottery page. Going through the process of creating the lottery was also brand aligned as well. And I can now use debit, credit card, or gift voucher to purchase lottery items. With any UK gambling, you can only use debit to purchase. So this is why you can't buy with credit card or with PayPal, because you can't control the credit card usage. If I was logged in as a charity, I could also accept offline payments as well, such as cash, check, bank transfer, and whatnot, and then enter the supporter into the page. Okay, so I go on to purchase. I'm asked to enter my numbers. I add the line very simply. I put in my card details. I can add as many lines as I want. Okay, the system, because I've done this before, the system is remembering my details. I press pay. And it's taking me again to a thank you branded page. Now, if I go to my email, let's see what the receipts will now look like. Right. There you go. So we've got the lottery ticket purchase email receipt. And again, because this is a branded platform, it comes from the charity's own email address, and it's branded in the charity's own look and feel. If it was on Golden Giving, it would have the Golden Giving branding. And the system just tells me that I've purchased something, the total amount, when, and my lottery numbers. Okay, all very straightforward and understandable. Okay, so now let's take that basic lottery facility and start adding mechanisms in which to further connect with your supporters. Okay, so I go back to my lottery page. Okay, so the first thing to note is there are a whole load of updates I can do on the page. So I can change the theme of the page again. So what theming does, it allows the basic look and feel, be that people's fundraising or branded platform look and feel, to be more context specific. And just to give you an example of that, if I log into the people's fundraising platform, just to show you some nice examples of themes. Again, the platforms are exactly the same. The only difference between people's fundraising and the branded is the branding on the branded platforms. You'd never know you're off the charity's website. So if this is the look and feel, the default look and feel on a people's fundraising donation page, then applying themes to it, you can essentially change it in any which way you want. Okay, not necessarily the elements of the page, but the look and feel. So this is a coronation theme. You can have a Christmas banner theme, and from the charity branded perspective, you can have essentially any theme you like. Okay, so you can change a theme. You can embed images within the description. You can add an email address, Twitter feed. You can embed a YouTube video or TikTok link into the page as well, all making the page more engaging. Okay. You can even apply age verification as well. So we can say the person needs to be potentially 18 years and over to make a purchase. And then you can even link to a donation page as well. So as somebody's purchasing their lottery ticket or raffle ticket or auction item ticket, they can also make an optional donation as well. I haven't got any available. I haven't set up any, so we're not going to link that. So we're going to update that with age verification. Okay, I have to update that. But just very quickly, just to show you the donation facility, I shall quickly set up a donation page as well. It's quite a good example of how quickly one can actually set up a donation page. Okay, so I've actually set up a donation page now, and I'm going to link it to my lottery. There we go. And then update that. Okay, so now the user experience is going to ask me for my age, and it will also ask me if I want to enter an optional donation. Interestingly enough, it can seem a bit counterintuitive that somebody's purchasing something like a lottery ticket or raffle ticket, etc., and being asked for an optional donation at the same time. We actually find that this facility is used quite often. And for example, somebody's buying the lottery ticket or raffle ticket, and they have a lot of money. We find that people generally, instead of buying more raffle tickets or lottery tickets because they can, they will act more fairly, whatever that means in this case, and they will make an optional donation instead. But we find that is actually, in fact, a good thing. Okay, let's look at a few other things you can do as well. You can add an email notification message. Now, what an email notification message is, when somebody's bought something, then they'll get a branded email or an email from People's Fundraising. You can add extra wording to that as well. Now, this is really important to extend the conversation you're having with their supporters. They've just purchased a lottery ticket, and within their email receipt, we've already seen the email receipt, you can give them an extra thanks, or you can pass them to the next activity. And again, it's all about having that interaction with your supporter base. Okay, so we're going to add one of those. And take every opportunity to interact, to develop that conversation with your supporter base. Your supporters primarily love what you do, but they want to have a relationship with you as well. And again, this is why donation fatigue kicks in, because you're just asking supporters for donations without that development of relationship. Small little things like having a conversation with your supporters, passing them on to the next action, develops that conversation. Okay, likewise, we can add a notification message. So when somebody buys a lottery item, they're going to go to a thank you page. We've seen that thank you page. And again, it's an opportunity to, continue that conversation with the supporter, pass them to the next action. So we'll show you where that appears. You can also add a questionnaire as well. So once somebody's made a purchase, you can ask them any question they want. We always ask one question on our platform, is that, do you want to be contacted by your supported organisation? However, if there are other questions you would like to ask, then you can ask them with a questionnaire. You can also add what's called a short link. Now, short links, functionally, they do something very, very straightforward. They just shorten the link to the page itself. However, their utility is actually quite powerful. Okay, so I spelt that wrong. Apologies. So, if, for example, you're going to hold multiple lotteries throughout the year, and so each page will be specific to the each, say, seasonal lottery. The problem with that is, once you publish the link to social media, on your website, via email, publish the QR codes to physical locations, if somebody clicks on an old link or scans an old QR code, then they're going to go to a page that's finished. So with the short links, what you can do is, Actually, we're going to update that. No, okay, we're not going to update it. What you can do with the short link is you can always point your short link at the current lottery or raffle or event, for example. So say we're going to hold 3 lotteries out in the year. We're actually going to publish the short link to social media, to your website, on emails, and its associated QR code. And then the next time we do a lottery and the next time you're going to do a lottery, we assign the same short link to that page, which means that wherever somebody finds the link to the page or the QR code, even if it initially referred to the first lottery page, if they click it or scan it, they're always going to go to the current lottery page as well. So short links are really, really, really useful. Okay. And remember, short links don't just have to point to the same type of fundraising page, i.e. lottery. They can point to different fundraising pages over time. So for example, the short link could refer to our current fundraising engagement with you. At one point in time it could point to a lottery, another point in time it could point to a raffle, another point in time it could point to a campaign page. Okay, so you can be really creative with short links. And also extending short links, we have tagging as well. So you've published your short link or page link out to the world via email, social media, on your website, in newsletters, on QR codes at the school gate, in the shops, etc. But one question is, from where are people scanning or clicking? So you can create QR code and link specific tags. So this is the short link tag, and this within this QR code is embedded, this link and Facebook, or you could have shop. So essentially you distribute the tagged short links or links and associated QR codes to the relevant places. And so therefore, when people do scan on the QR code at the school gate or in the shop, or do click on the tag specific Facebook or TikTok or Instagram link and make purchases, you know from where people are making purchases, and then you can act on that information accordingly. Okay, tagging is super important. And also you can use it like things like, I know a lot of charities do this. They use resources to go out and sell raffle tickets or lottery tickets. Okay. And those resources earn money from that. So you could have a resource specific tagged to understand that Fred sold 20 tickets and therefore you remunerate him accordingly. Okay. So let's go back to our view update delete page again. And of course, you can embed things like lottery buttons on websites. This is for generally fundraisers who are really engaging with you over a long period of time. Remember, there's a difference between transactional fundraising, which is, and large charities are very good at transactional fundraising. They do an email broadcast or a television broadcast. People go to the page and then they make a donation and that's it. There's no real development of relationship here, as opposed to fundraising based on a development of relationship. Now, it's not as though big charities, although they earn a lot more money than small charities, are any better than relationship fundraising. They're not. They're just better at transactional fundraising. So when you develop relationships with your supporter base, especially communities and corporates, then you want to further integrate your brand with that company or community. And things like, a company embedding into their own website how much they've earned through the lottery page or raffle page or auction page or shop page that they have created supporting you is a good thing for you because there's more of an integration, but it's also a good thing for the community or corporate because they get kudos for that relationship. Employees love it, customers love it, etc. And you can do things like lottery lists as well. So they give you the last 10 people who bought and when they bought, etc. Okay. And of course, QR codes, but we've seen QR codes in the context of tagging. Okay. So now let's go back to our page again. Okay. And let's go through the purchase cycle. Remember, we've set this up as a 50% split of the income. So the interesting thing about this is supporters, because we specified on the page that we're going to show how much is being generated from the page, supporters will always know what the 50% split is going to be like. Okay. If I had multiple prizes, by the way, if I had 3 or more, they'll start being displayed in a column format. It's got who it's supporting. And let's make another purchase. Again, I can add as many lines as I want. The system's remembered my details. It's got the optional donation. Let's have that as well. I can gift aid that. Okay. So we've got the same type of thank you message, but again, the key thing, it's a small thing. I've now shown that I can add the notification message here, which is nice. Again, this would point your supporters to the next action. It would extend that conversation you're having with a supporter. It would enhance the relationship you have with the supporter. If I'd asked them for a questionnaire, the questionnaire would appear on this page. If I'd set up an e-card, the e-card would also appear on this page as well. So let's go to the emails now and see how they've changed. Again, I've got now 2 emails that have gone through from a supporter perspective. I've got my lottery purchase email. Again, I've got my email notification message here. It's a very small thing to add, but again, it gives you the opportunity to extend that conversation you have with the supporter. Okay. And it's branded according to either People's Fundraising brand or the charity brand. And also I've got a receipt for my donation as well, which is nice. And from the perspective of the charity, the charity has been sent an email notification to show that somebody's made a donation, and probably somewhere in the email list there to show that somebody's made the auction purchase as well. Okay, so now as a fundraiser, I can continue with that auction. I can create other auctions, and I can subsequently create any other type of page as well. And that's the same from the charity perspective. Now, if I log out and then log in as a charity, I'll start to see my statistics of how many people have bought raffle tickets and whatnot. So in my quick statistics, it's recognized that a donation has been made. It's recognized that some items have been purchased in the lottery, which is good. In terms of reports, I can now download things like income reports, but there's about 35 different reports all in all. But the income report is pretty good. The income report will show me everything I need to know about any payment through the system, from the page name to the website address to the associated campaign, everything about the supporter, title, first name, last name, email address, the transaction details, the gross to the net, and the different charge structures. I can now download that, and it showed me the purchase information, which is good. From which page, it's a donation page or a lottery page. Again, all the supporter information, transaction details, transaction dates, payment types, gross, all the way down to the net, and charges in between. And again, this information you can extract either via downloading from a report, or you can use our API to extract that same information, both on the People's Fundraising platform or on the branded platform. And if you've got a branded platform, you can even access the database as well. Okay, so that's a very quick overview of Lotteries. Right, let's see if there are any questions now. But thanks. Do you need an lottery? Oh, okay. So yeah, very good question. So Lotteries, as well as raffles, are licensed activities. Okay, so if you as a charity, from the perspective of supporter engagement, hold a lottery or raffle, it doesn't include auctions, then you need a local authority license. Now, from the perspective of supporter participation, your supporters would also need a local authority license. Now, one follow-on question to that as well is, well, yes, we can control getting our licensing, but what about our supporters? Can we control that? Now, there's a couple of ways the system can support that. So, firstly, the system, well, the branded platforms in any case, can be set up in such a way that when somebody creates a page, you will be notified that a page has been created, and you only allow that page to be live once you've verified that the content of the page aligns with your criteria or not. Okay, so this includes getting a lottery, okay, and a lottery license. And if it does, then you can essentially allow that page to go live. The way the People's Fundraising platform has been set up, and the way we propose branded platforms to be set up, is where when somebody creates a page, it could be any type of page, in this case a lottery page, you are notified that that page has been created, and you can subsequently contact the supporter who set up the page to see if they've got the appropriate licenses or not. And as such, you can either delete the page, or what else can you do? You can disassociate the page from campaigns, which essentially means it is, unusable. So, or you can do the extreme, and you can essentially allow your supporters to set up these pages and not go through that check. Okay, so there's no legal requirement for you to do that check, but you can do, and the system supports you doing that by giving you the notification that people have set up pages, and to be able to do things like block and delete pages if they don't align with your particular criteria. Okay. Right. So that was a super quick overview. Any other questions at the moment?
Yeah, I've got a question. What about the actual process of drawing the lottery? When the numbers are drawn.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Out of the
yeah. So
virtual hat.
Yeah. So there are two ways that happens. Firstly, the system can draw automatically, and we're still trialing when that's undertaken. So at the moment, what the system does, the system will draw, I think, about 2 a.m. the following day at the end of a lottery. Okay. The second way you can do it is you can literally click the draw button. Okay, and so the example there is, say you have, people know that it's going to be drawn at a certain time, certain day. Maybe you're going to have a live Facebook channel going on, or if it's a sit-down event, you can essentially click the draw button, and the system will draw and notify people as appropriate. So, in answer to your question, the system can draw for you, but it does that the following day. And if you don't like that mode, you can literally just click the draw button. And again,
and the winners will be notified.
That's right. That's right. And therefore, it's up to you to be able to, or it's therefore your responsibility to distribute the associated prize.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions on that, Jane, Lynn, Nick?
Sorry, I've just got one more, which is slightly more generic.
Yeah.
And that's this question of a branded page. Very quickly, can you tell me what the process is to go about transforming it from a people's fundraising to a branded page?
Okay, yeah. So if you'd like the branded platform, then it's a slightly different process. So the branded platform is your own version of People's Fundraising.
Yeah.
You just email the support team that you'd like to change to a branded platform. We'll send you the next steps email. And
Okay.
essentially what that means is you would set up an Amazon Web Services account. We would then build your own version of People's Fundraising on top of that and impose your look and feel on that. And then we'll go through maybe a few days of aligning with you that you're happy with the look and feel. And then, you can go live. How you wish. Really,
But
from the
the actual functionality of the platform's exactly the same.
yeah, the functionality is the same, but you have more control. So, for example,
Right.
things like email templates you can change. You can actually turn off and on functionality. So, if you didn't want to offer lotteries to your supporter base, you could turn those off. But the key thing there is everything about the platform is under your brand look and feel. I mean, supporters would have no idea they're not on your website, essentially.
Okay. Yeah.
which
That's
is
great.
which is the goal of it. Remember, this is about our tools, and the branding option essentially are about giving you the ability to develop the best relationship you can with your individual community and corporate fundraisers. Okay,
Okay.
they have that relationship with you via the brand, and also you engage with them, and then they participate with the widest range of fundraising tools. So everything's centered around and revolves around developing that relationship and ultimately making more money for you as a charity. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Unless there's any other questions, I'll sign off now. So look out for the next email. I think we're going to talk about gift vouchers next week. But yes, this will be a regular weekly slot. So I hope you
Brilliant.
found that useful.
Yeah.
And
Thank you very much.
thank you very much, Nick. And have great weekends, everyone. Thank you very much.
And you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.